all the ingredients you'll need to make a delicious brisket. Tony's gonna show us all the steps. Stay tuned, everyone. All right, guys, what we're gonna do is we're going to trim up this brisket. This is a prime brisket from Costco. As you can see, a couple of pointers to pick one out is making sure you get a flop. It just means the meat's very tender and you're good to go. This is gonna be about a 19-hour cook. These are the ingredients we're gonna use. Really, we're gonna use a binder today, and that's gonna be the Worcestershire sauce. And then we're gonna hit it with a line of pepper, just because with the pepper, it's gonna build the bark that we're all looking for in a brisket. And then we're gonna hit it with the holy cow. And then we're gonna do something special with the jack stack here. I'll show you guys in a little bit. Barbecue sauce, and obviously the apple cider vinegar, we're gonna use that in the tray. And we're also gonna make beef tallow today. So, we're just gonna get started here. So briskets are low and slow when you're cooking it, and could be intimidating, but don't worry about it. So first step is this hard fat right here. We're not gonna actually, let me go grab a tray. We're not gonna actually, it's not gonna render. So that's the first thing we wanna do. And when you're slicing, you gotta be careful too. You're gonna make sure, and I'm using a really big, sharp knife, but I've been making a couple of briskets already, so you want to just even this out, making sure all the fat is, any fat that you don't want is out, silver skin, you don't want that stuff. So we're going to trim this bad boy, and if you're using a big knife like this, got this knife from Costco, you can just kind of slice it up, and you'll see that it slices off pretty easy. And typically you want to make your brisket rounded, just so that way it cooks evenly. But on this one, it's actually pretty thick here, and this side right here is pretty thick, so I'm not going to actually have to round it out as much. This part right here, any part that you cut off, meat-wise, you can always, grind it up for burgers. But for the fat here, we're going to slice it up. And we're actually going to render it and make beef tallow. You got to be careful because you can cut off, but you can't put back on the fat here. And also the cool thing about slicing it thin like this is it renders really easily. So we're gonna have a bunch of beef tallow that you can use for a lot of things. We're gonna use some of it for after the cook, just to kind of mellow out the seasoning. We're gonna use it for, you can use it for vegetable oil. Fun fact, McDonald's used to cook all their fries in beef tallow. And then they changed the recipe, but they still use a little beef in there. So when you're slicing it thin like this, it just makes it a lot easier for you'll get a lot more beef tallow out of it. smoke it today. We're gonna do low and slow. It's gonna be an easy, not gonna even spritz it. We're just gonna let it run all night. We're gonna put it in about 7 p.m. Be ready by 9, 9:30. We'll be able to wrap it, and life will be easy. Gotta go a little surgical here. Get all this hard fat out. There you go. Yeah. The majority of the fat off of brisket will not render while you're cooking. It won't go into the flavor, so a lot of that stuff will come off. Kind of leave that here because it's going to be part of the next step that we're going to do. That's going to be prepping up for another part of the cook. All right, now we're going to the back part here. You want to make sure it's kind of level, even. It's the harder fat right here, as you can see. Then we're going to try to slim down a little bit, cut about half of it off. You only want about a 1/4 inch of fat there. And again, it's okay to do small slices. Number one, you're being careful. You're not cutting into the meat. We're going to be cooking fat side up, and the reason why you want to do fat side up on this cook is it's traditional Texas style, but what you want to do is you want to, the fat wants to melt into it a little bit, as much as you can. I know I said it didn't fully render, but some of it will. Some people will do, in a lot of competition videos, they'll do meat side up, and when you're doing meat side up, that pretty much means you're trying to get that epic smoke ring. I've made a couple briskets already on the smoker, and I've never had issues with not having a smoke ring. I like to do meat fat side up to kind of keep it traditional Texas style. Not from Texas, but respect their barbecue. This side right here is pretty much thin enough. So we're good here. This is the side, again, that was a little bit more thicker. Take a little bit more off right here. And then we'll be good to go.
How much of a fat layer are you looking to keep?
About a 1/4 inch. You don't need to put too much fat on it. Especially since this is the flat, you don't want to put too much fat on it. All right. You also want to make sure you're cutting it as even as possible so you don't have any divots, anything like that. But this is pretty much, just gonna take a little bit more slice off. It's gonna be okay. a lot of different ways to skin a cat. This is the way I like to do it. Just small cuts, trying to make it as even as possible. And yeah, I think we're good. All right, so this is the fat side. Again, this side is a little bit thicker on the fat side, and we're just slicing it a little bit at a time. This side was kind of thin, perfect where we want it. Now for the next step, the fun step. So a little bit about a brisket. This right here is the flat. And the brisket's made of 2 points. So this is the flat, this is the leaner side, and this right here is the point, the fatty part, more flavorful part. And what they used to do in the back in the days was in Kansas City, they used to give that part away for free. And Kansas City made burnt ends famous by just kind of cooking it differently. So this is an extra step what we're gonna do. And that's going to be, we're going to not completely remove this part. We want to cook it all whole. That's the way I like to do it. But we're going to basically peel back the flat right here. We're going to trim out the fat. We're going to season it with Jack Stack Kansas City rub, just because it's a KC thing, and we're gonna make it that way. So, and to do this, what we're going to do is we're just going to follow the fat lining right here. And I'm just going to follow it. Being careful, do it slowly, no rush. And there it is. And we're just going to slowly peel it away and slicing the fat. It's okay, got a little meat here, it's alright. Not too bad. And all you're doing, I'll go this way for the camera. And we're just kind of skinning it back a little bit, letting this part come out. And we're going to slice this fat out. And we don't need to fully cut it. My goal is to bring it to about here. So we have like that much right here, about an inch connected, about 2 inches connected. We're gonna take all this fat out. We're gonna season that point part differently and make some burnt ends. And about 5 years ago, I didn't even know what a burnt end was. I was in Kansas City for work, and a buddy of mine, who's actually the one that sent me the Jack Stack, took me to Jack Stacks and changed my life right there. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to carefully take some of the fat off, and this is really the gold there for the liquid gold. All right. A lot of times you guys get brisket, they'll ask you if you want the lean or the fatty. This is the fatty. This is the thicker part of the brisket. Typically, when you're cutting a brisket too, the flat you're going to cut this way. When you get to the point, you cut this way. That way the fat goes evenly. But again, what we're going to do today is we're actually going to remove it and cook burnt ends with it. So next step with it, it's not hard at all. It's kind of fun. A lot of my family members love the burnt ends the way I make it, because what we're going to do is we're going to do in a couple extra steps. I'm not a professional trimmer. I'm not a professional smoker. I just like doing it because it's fun. Yeah. Yeah, all we're doing is we're thinly slicing off the fat here. There's a lot of fat built into the burnt ends, or into this part of the meat. Yeah, we're gonna still leave some of it as part of this cook. We're gonna season next up. We're gonna do is we're gonna hit it up with some Worcestershire sauce as a binder. You don't have to use Worcestershire sauce. You can use mustard. You don't have to use blender at all. I like using Worcestershire sauce because I think it gives it a little bit more epic bark. I use it on my prime rib. Maybe we'll make a video for that in the holidays, Danny.
Yep.
Some people will probably be like, oh, you're cutting a lot of fat off of it. And I enjoy less fat in it, but obviously fat is flavor. All right, that's the trim. Any questions, Danny?
Looking good, looking good. Good work, Tony. So you got it all trimmed up. Next step will be seasoning it up.
Seasoning it. So, like I said, we're gonna do the meat side first, and then we're gonna flip it over. We'll put the we're gonna let it actually adhere for a few hours. We got some time, and then we're gonna put it back in. So first step is we're going to. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit it with some Worcestershire sauce. There are a few different kind of brands you can get, but what we're gonna do is gonna lightly coat it, get the sides. Now all you're doing is you're just going to coat it so that way it has something, the meat has something to stick on. And we're gonna do a different rub for right here in this section compared to the rest of it in the back. So, all right, so after you put the Worcestershire sauce, we're gonna hit it with some pepper. The reason why you want to hit it with some coarse pepper, I'm using fresh coarse peppers with my little grinder here, is it's what builds the bark. And light coat, very light. As you see again, what it does, it's gonna build the bark of what we're gonna look for, the thickness of the brisket. And then we're gonna hit it with some other seasoning with the holy cow. Don't worry about the seasoning part because this is a long cook, and then the beef tallow is going to hopefully mellow out some of your seasoning. So if you feel like you're seasoning a lot, it's probably okay. Yeah, just hitting it with a light coat. See all the sides, all the corners. Alright, that is going to be just for the black pepper. Then we're going to hit it with the holy cow. I like using the holy cow. It's salt, pepper, heavy. But you can use anything. This is the one I like to use. Actually, Meat Church taught me a lot about smoking on his channel.
Good.
Alright. Put a little bit of holy cow in here. We're gonna hit that hard with the jack stack.
Nice.
Alright. Here's the jack stack. Alright, so we hit it with the holy cow. Now we're gonna hit it with the jack stack on the point. Again, we're gonna make burnt ends. They're gonna be delicious. They're gonna be the top of your barbecue. And you can be, it's a big piece of meat, so, and it's gonna be cooking for a long time, so you can hit it with a lot. We're gonna hit it with some more later when we're making it. But yeah. There you go. So that is Jack Stack with the holy cow on the rest of the, and you know, you can get it high, get it low. We'll go through one more time. And Danny, you want to get something? You want to get on this?
Yeah, I'll season up the back.
All right, there we go. Danny's turn.
What's up, everyone? Gonna season up the fat side. Put a little Worcestershire. Nice light coating, just to let the seasoning adhere better.
And you can put the, yeah, once you do that, then you're just gonna hit it with the pepper.
Hit it with some pepper, fresh ground pepper. This thing's cool right here. Make sure to get all the spots. Just like Tony said, it's a big piece of meat, so seasoning up well, it's not going to be too much. Has time to break down. The pepper won't be as strong over the cook. All right. Take some of the holy cow. Shout out Holy Cow. Meat Church, great channel for sure. Check them out. Hit them with this. Always keep a wet and dry hand just to help cross contamination. Keep everything sanitary. Looking really good. Looks good. So we're ready to go. Gonna let it adhere for a while, and then we're gonna throw it on the smoker. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Got the brisket all seasoned up, both sides. Here's the trimmings for the beef tallow. Gonna render down and make us some good fat. All the seasonings. Looks really good. We're gonna let it sit for about a couple hours, and then once it sits and adheres for a while, we're gonna throw it on the smoker. Thank you guys for watching, appreciate it.